here are this week's Pool Together community podcast highlights.
So Joey, how does one become an Ethereum magician? How did you get there?
The way that you become an Ethereum magician specifically is you just write an EIP, and anyone can do that. So if you have an idea for, you have some experience building protocols or smart contracts, and you see some pattern or some standardization need that could be anywhere in the stack, really. My focus has always been DeFi, but if you have a contribution to make, you just make an EIP. All the processes are public. I can also talk through it with you. Feel free to DM me on Twitter or Telegram or whatever. And yeah, then you get on the forum. You're technically a Ethereum magician, I guess. I actually got the Celestia airdrop because of that, which is kind of cool. But, obviously you do it because you have a genuine contribution that you want to make. And anyway, that's kind of the story. That's how we got to where I am today. Got a couple EIPs cooking even that we're going to talk about. So I'm just really excited to share more and, keep jamming.
I love your airdrop farming strategy that you just submit EIPs for airdrops. Love that. That's good.
Yeah, that's the alpha for the podcast for today.
I'm really excited about the future of DeFi and the ease of use for users, where suddenly chains become abstracted, even tokens become abstracted. It's like, what do I have in my wallet? What do I want? Route me there, baby. And don't fee me to death. So I think 4626 helps this happen, right? But what are your thoughts on that? On routing, zapping, bridging, cross-chaining, abstracting away all of the hoops that a user might have to jump through, and just using the swap feature and say your wallet.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought this up. I have 2 or 3 branching thoughts on this. Let's see. So the first one is that the original intention for the standard was twofold. One was everyone was rolling their own connectors to every yield source on the planet, which was just a hilarious waste of dev resources and security risk. So the composability aspect of DeFi, that was a big one for 4626. But the second biggest, and this was actually the big vision for the standard for me at least, was being able to go from any one place in DeFi to any other place in DeFi in one click. And then talking, like you said, about cross-chain and whatever. So routing is a big piece of 4626, and LP tokens are a very complicated use case for the standard. They weren't like the canonical use case, but people can try to do LP positions. And you just gave me a really cool idea, which was, intents are a very powerful primitive that is being built right now, Uniswap X and CowSwap and whatever. So I'm imagining these 17 token LP positions, and someone says, I have this much ETH. I want to get as much LP tokens as possible for this ETH. And so some filler might go swap the ETH into certain tokens, but not all of them because of slippage or because of the weights in the pool or whatever. But whoever can quote you the best outcome in terms of LP tokens gets to fill the order, which is very similar. Like LP tokens are really just another token, but how you get them is you have to deposit to the pool. So that's a cool use case that I thought of.
But my idea is hey, if we get enough people saying 4626, then people do 4626. But time will tell. So we do have a solution coming out where you could have a spending card, and then you would just basically, at certain points give yourself an allowance of 500 USD or something at a moment, which is better than $5 cold brew or something, and swapping there. But ideally, right, we're trying to get away from fees, trying to get away from banks. You're trying to race to the bottom on fees there too for people to use it. But I understand. I can't have everything that I want.
Well, fees are never going to, people thought that DeFi was going to get rid of all the fees. But what's actually going to happen is that you're going to be able to express way more composability, and you can financialize everything at the cost of there being more fees. And the fees are still going to be competitively low, but they're not going to be 0, because in order to get liquidity for a complex financial transaction, you got to pay somebody. You're paying a market maker. You're going to pay a protocol. There's going to be more fees and way more fees, but you get so much more utility and so much more financial education from that. That's my opinion on where things are going.
Thanks for listening. You can download the full episode of this week's Pool Together Community Podcast on your favorite podcast app.